Before going into the demo, I want to show you how the virtual service is implemented. It is pretty interesting actually how Istio does it. So let's say this is our service mesh. I have 5 deployments or pods, whatever you might want to call it. All the deployments are running different pods. This one is running app 1, then app 2, 3, 4, 5. So of course all of them have envoy proxy also. And let's say the services have also been created for all these deployments. So for app 1 deployment, the service is app 1 SVC. For app 2 it is app 2 SVC, and so on. Now what happens when we create a virtual service? Let's say we have this virtual service wherein I have mentioned the host to be app1-svc and app4-svc. So basically, let's say these are two virtual services or a single, does not matter. Now what happens when you run the command kubectl apply f followed by the virtual service configuration file? So pretty interesting thing happens here. So it's not that this app1 svc and app4 svc would be applied to app3, app2 and app5 because they are the only ones who can reach app 1 and app 4. That is not the case. No matter how many deployments we have or how many pods we have in those deployments in the Istio service mesh, this virtual service routing rule would be forwarded to all the envoy proxies present in the Istio service mesh. Does not matter what host you mention, the routing rules that this virtual service has mentioned would be forwarded to all the envoy proxies in all the deployments in the Istio service mesh. At first glance, it might seem pretty overhead, but actually it is not, because the virtual service configuration is very lightweight and a very small size. So that's why, let's say if you want to go from app 2 to app 1 or app 4, you'll go to the envoy proxy, and there this routing rule is already present, and based on the routing rule the forwarding would happen. The same thing is true for app 1 or app 3 also, or app 4 also. Let's say app 4 wants to go to app 1, it has to pass through this envoy proxy which already has the routing rules created by this virtual service. Now let's say I have one more virtual service wherein I have mentioned the host, app 2 service and app 3 service. What will happen in that case? Again, it will be similar. The virtual service configuration rule would be applied or forwarded to all the envoy proxies. All the envoy proxies in all the deployments in this Istio service mesh will have this routing rule available. So any pod to pod or container to container or application to application communication has to go via the envoy proxy, which will pass through the routing rule, and the rule would be applied.